Buddies. You gotta let me work now, bud. Yeah, you gotta let me work. Danny, not sure how well you could hear me. Uh, looks like the camera's crap too. Sorry about that. So hopefully the microphone's picking up something. But good question. Did they ever put a second hand on an Atmos clock? Not that I can recall, because the balance wheel, what is referred to as the pendulum, the rotating wheel at the bottom, that is your second hand. And it's also a balance like a watch balance, but that counts your seconds and your rotations. um you know one one direction 30 seconds, the other direction another 30 for 1 minute, and two vibrations a minute, which is very low compared to other watches and clocks and whatnot. However, there are some that have dials that have hygrometer and thermometer on built into the dial, behind the dial. I'm a, fairly young guy, but I'm pretty bad at YouTube. I really would like to get better at this. And this dial's kind of looks like someone's worked on this clock. And the dial's bent up, and what I see, there's these kind of recessed posts, and then the threaded screw is actually taller. Well, on these two other ones, they've been shaped or filed down. So the dial is pretty screwed up and doesn't match up right. Uh, we'll see how nicely I can tighten that back down and make it work, or else we'll have to put a different dial on there. Sometimes I just take my thumb and kind of straighten out those big bends and get them kind of, at least somewhat kosher. 'em. I do have an HD camera, but I suppose I have to connect it to the computer and then choose that for the access in order to go live. 4/1/1964. I got his sheet buried here. This one, because you can't see down through the top glass, he didn't have the correct serial number, although it is on a sticker on the bottom here. And we got 181470. Just looking in George. Very good. Thanks for joining, man. Hopefully you can make out what I have here. It is an Atmos clock. It looks pretty grainy on my screen, but sorry about that. With these 532s, big solid dial and whatnot, can't see through them. Often I'm worried about the condition of the suspension wire because you can't exactly see where the pallet fork is and the other portions of the movement to know what you got going on in there. Mainspring is actually lubricated decently. All right. Tour of the factory. Yes, yes. I just talked to a 90-year-old man who did that. I believe it costs about $3 grand or something. Okay, thanks for looking in, guys. Atmos clock runs for a few minutes after moving the minute hand 1 hour. Could be wrong with the Atmos clock that runs for a few minutes after moving the minute hand 1 hour. Have you started it back up well? I have a short video on here how to start the Atmos clock, about 7 minutes long, but you want to look at the position of the pallet fork and the roller and make sure you're giving it a good enough start. And after you've done that, watch that pallet fork. If it's not releasing power, well, then you will, no matter how many times you start it, it's not going to run for you. 2018. Thanks again, guys. Biss. Track speed, rail fan, 28 repaired. Slow down, happen that, okay. On that bellow cover drum, sometimes this bolt actually becomes disattached from the interior cover. It's kind of like soldered on there or fused or whatever, kind of tack welded, and that'll break. With a gap is to fix a new locking ring. I might need to see a picture to make sure I know what you're talking about there on that one. Yeah, check out that video base, and then within it, I mentioned the pallet fork situation. You can look at it very closely, and then you'll know if there is no power on the gear train on the movement by the pallet fork. If it does have power, then you know that it's worth re-leveling, readjusting, maybe moving it to another spot. Give it a good start. If it has power and it won't run, probably gonna have to have it looked at. Suppose my hands are in the way 50% of the time. Oh, it looks bad. All right. Now it's going to get a little bit noisier in here. I'm going to run this through the cleaner over here. Be right back. Um, Technically, the servicing portion started in 2013. I grew up in a home with my father as a watchmaker. He graduated from watchmaking school in 1978. So we always had, and he works out of his home, just like I do. And he always had an Atmos clock, and didn't take long for him to tell me or me to notice that it's a lot different than the other clocks and very captivating in the way that it just kind of silently rotates there on the mantle. And so I was always around it. Didn't think that I would necessarily be doing it, but some of my first jobs, growing up, would be to answer the phone if my dad wasn't around and take a message, and even sometimes give them an estimate as to what their cuckoos and mantle clocks and grandfather clocks would need. And then another thing about my dad is that he doesn't use the internet or cell phones or really much technology in general. He does have a TV, but so my deal was to sell them for him, here and there, sell an Atmos clock on eBay. Growing up, we're talking 10, 15 years ago. I think the first time I sold one for him was I was like 12, so that'd be 20 years ago. Um, yeah, and so in 2013, I decided I'd make a website for my dad, and he can get a bunch of Atmos clocks to work on. Well, he's getting up in age, and he, uh, was plenty busy with 40 plus years of customers built up right here locally. So he decided that he wasn't too interested in servicing them. So I had to begin servicing these clocks after making the website for him. And basically, the formal instruction that he gave me is what you've seen right now. Is basically told me how to take it apart one afternoon, just like this, disassemble, how to put it in the cleaner, and then that was pretty much it. Of course, I could kind of consult him and ask him, different pieces of advice along the way, but that was pretty much it. Prior to this, I worked on my old truck a lot. Always put together models. Um, what other things were good? Oh yeah, these toys that were a lot like Legos. Growing up, they were called Connects. They're like Legos except larger and different shaped pieces that you put together, kind of like the Erector set, except plastic and whatnot. The Erector set was probably my father's generation, and this Connects was mine. But always interested in putting stuff together, so it just you know, feels good when you can repair something basically or create something. I suppose you didn't hear a word I just said because of the equipment running. Don't you? Okay, time to pull it out of the cleaner. 7 minutes. Yeah, I'm sorry that this is pretty much trash, but we will get better as we go. All right, we haven't lost you. Awesome. Thanks for sticking around. We just ran through the ultrasonic cleaner and ultrasonic cleaner solution, rinse solution, air compressor, and a heater parts dryer box with medium low heat. Nothing crazy because there is a protective lacquer on the movement as well that will get eaten off. And so that's taken into consideration with the cleaning solution as well. I don't know if you can hear what I said. Hopefully. We're going to get this better. This is the first one. Initially, my dad wanted to be a jeweler and either a mentor or someone within the industry, instructor or something, told him that the jewelry stores were driven by the watch repair service. And so then that's how we got into that. But I bring this up because I wanted to show you this cast silver medallion that I made, my logo. It's about half a troy ounce, pretty thin compared to 1 troy ounce silver, buffalo, a little bit wider too. Kind of looks like a a communion wafer, but yeah. So this will be a hidden treasure someday that they'll dig up and they'll say, "Wow, it must be a foregone empire that we never knew of. Is it from Atlantis?" It'll be on the History Channel. All right, almost ready to reassemble here. Hey, we're growing. 5 people are watching this. Okay, looks like audio and video got better. Would be awesome. It would be people. I don't know. You can work on that class. Oh, cool. Yeah. Also, with this coin, mention. All right. Notice that I mentioned medallion, not a coin. And this will be our next interesting topic we could talk about when I return to reassemble here in about 5 minutes. It's actually illegal to mint a competing currency to U.S. dollars in the United States. So how is Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, allowed to do that? There were guys that wanted to do the freedom thing and stop their, losses of, reduced purchasing power and inflation, and they made silver money, and they were charged and sentenced, convicted to serious crimes. So how is Bitcoin, if it's really a currency, how is that allowed? Well, I guess it's actually classified as a speculative asset. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. Audio good, audio better. That ultrasonic cleaner has to interfere with this laptop. I know it does with my headphones. It makes it all choppy. Uh, I think standalone video of what you just explained. Um, which one? I've been explaining way too much. I lost track. If you're still with us, Danny, and thank you for being such a good subscriber and commenting on my videos and helping me out. That's very much appreciated. I kind of watch, I see YouTube channels that obviously have way better quality than I do, but they talk about nonsense and speculation and things that might not happen and fear and fear mongering was huge a few years back. It's kind of reduced a little bit, but and they have hundreds of thousands of views talking about things that aren't even productive. Video of my clock learning in background. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's just hard to pinpoint, exactly when I started, being that, I grew up around it. Um, but I did go to college and I studied Spanish and I studied in Spain and I studied international relations and things like that. I wasn't certain that I was going to do this, but I always did want to do work for myself. That was always there. And we just oiled up the mainspring. Yep, yep, my dad, and he was initially going to be a jeweler. He wanted to make jewelry. And I think you heard that part. I'm not sure. Um, someone advised him that the jewelry store is driven by the watch repair service at that time. Now it's all replacing batteries at the jewelry store and whatnot. But I kind of started by it basically started by my dad service the Atmos, and I'll sell it because he doesn't use the computer or internet. That's, I guess, what would be largely the start. And back then it was eBay, and it didn't take long for me to find some very big problems with selling these on eBay. They drove the prices way down. I don't know if you noticed, but about the time that I came in, we changed that around. Buying a clock for parts or repair non-running has remained fairly stable, but it's the running clocks that are actually getting a fair value now. eBay is a force when you do a no reserve auction, is a force driving down prices. You wait to bid till the end. And then B, you might just wait for another item if it goes over $400. You'll wait until the next one's listed. You're also comparing a page full of clocks that maybe aren't even comparable, that are, running, non-running, unknown condition, this model, that model, limited production, very common. Also, what really did it for me with eBay is, I'll tell you a little story. One time I sold an Atmos clock with a marble base, and I suspect that the guy who received it loved the Atmos clock, didn't care, came up with an idea to claim and get price reduction on the total purchase, and get that Atmos clock for less. And that was pretty common for a while. Guys do stuff like that, but I don't know if that's exactly what he did, but it sure seems like it. Now I'm too busy servicing everyone else's clocks that I don't even sell mine and don't even do mine. This one's looking like it's just going to be an overhaul. However, you never know completely the condition of the wire until you test it. Because it's contained inside that balance tube, you can't really look at it and spot the issue. And if that suspension wire is ever twisted or kinked, it will never keep accurate time for you. It might run, might still run and appear to work, but you'll get a lot of sporadic timekeeping. And then again, I mentioned at the beginning that these 532s, the Marina models with the solid panels and things, you can't see inside to see exactly the position of the pallet and the roller and the balance and things. So it kind of worries me with those that the wire could be twisted, but it's not a certainty. You never know. That's why you have to test it to find out. First try, all right. That does not happen often. This is a lot trickier than it looks because 2, 4, I'm pinching that winding arbor axle from moving while doing that. So kind of have your hands full when you do that. Okay, lay it like that. Keep some pressure on that spring. And we get into the movement. Take a look over our jewels, make sure they're clean and looking great. Extra little scrub here. You'd be surprised how many calories you burn while intently focusing. It's good exercise. You know, it seems like easy work. It seems like it's going fast and this and that, but you can get tired. And you might notice I'm not using any magnification and thankfully I have good enough eyesight now where I don't need to. When I work on some of the smaller movements, the 8-day movements and the watch movements, I do for certain points put on magnification, but with that I'm trying to preserve my eyes because those eye loops can do a number on your vision down the road if you're using them every day. Get that back one on there. Make sure everything's clean and good and nothing's bent, nothing's gooped up. And then our center wheel, fourth wheel here. Make sure that rotates, doesn't get stuck. Now that's just loosely placed on there. You don't go slamming that part down. Yep. Yep. You could try a solder on that, Mr. Speed Railfan. I almost think it runs. Yes, Jason, that is possible. That's when most of the bellow action's taking place, okay? And then track speed, yes, you can solder. And then if it doesn't turn out very well, then yeah, just get a replacement because you can't have big globs of it blocking. You know, you have a tight space to work with there, especially with the cover. If you have a 528, I'm assuming, or I think you said that, but yeah. And no, you're not interrupting, but sorry that it took a while to get to you. Okay, and then Danny, is the Atmos still being manufactured? Yes, it is. Um, they have like the 560, 563 they're into now. They're much higher price, you know, $10,000, and much lower quantities. They're not doing large runoffs like they did in the past. And this is the pallet fork. This is a very important and delicate part that will interrupt a lot of clocks running if they're bent. And they're very important to not acknowledge and know about them and their positioning and what they do. And because this is where all the power from the mainspring is transferred over to that balance rotation right here on this prong pallet fork, which is extremely long compared to pallet forks and watches. They're short, stubby. Slip and mangle it right there, just after I said that. Cap jewel. It's a good one. Some people kind of wonder, what are the jewels? You know, where are these jewels? Well, those are those little red rubies you see at each pivot. They're like bushings, except they're made with ruby, and they produce less resistance than metal. Okay. Now this is where we pause, and we're gonna let it run here like this. Not only do we inspect the pallet fork, but other portions, you know, the balance and rotation and whatnot. And yeah, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. So I let them run like this, and then the next step would be put the dial and hands on, let it run this way, get the case cleaned up and whatnot, and then we observe the timekeeping. But so far, I can see that this clock's going to have really good motion, meaning the rotation, the balance wheel, and that is all affected by not only the power on the mainspring, the shape of the pallet fork, the condition of the wire, the length of the wire, where it's positioned and hanging, and then also the position of the regulating cannon and pin, excuse me, cannon and clamp up here that also adjusts the length of exposed wire. And so a shorter wire rotates quicker and a longer wire rotates slower. And these are just tiny incremental. And then of course there's weights underneath this balance wheel that are also fine tuned to keep time. But I think that's gonna keep running. And I see that it's releasing power. The pallet fork is pushing it along. Wow, hour 20. Thank you, Michael George. Oh, Jason, yes, yes. Your 8-day. I've been meaning to talk to you about that. Okay, yeah, your memo box, it's right over here. It's right here, I think. Um, it's pretty beat up. It's, stored in all kinds of different little containers and things, and they kind of got roughed up a little bit. So I was going to talk to you about that. There are some options for that. Yeah, it's here, right here. Yeah, I asked you about that balance wheel, and that balance wheel, show you what that looks like. This is how it arrived. It's definitely going to need a new one of these, among possibly some other stuff. So here's your balance, the way it came. The hairspring and stuff. Now I do have another light, but it adds some strange reactions. I suppose you're not going to be able to see. The hairspring's pretty beat up and mangled up, so it's going to need another one of these. And I'm not sure if anything's missing either. So I will have a talk with you about what we can do here. And I also have a nicer case. See, here's your case for it. This light sucks. I mean, it's good, but it doesn't work with electronics. Your case. I have another really nice, shiny, clean one. Check this out. From Mr. Curt himself. All right. But yeah, it's spotless. It's perfect. The bell, got the bell too. So that's an option. And then we'll talk. Yeah, you're still in line. You know, you haven't been passed either, Jason. This clock here came July 22nd. No, that might have gotten out of order here. Let me see. July 22nd. Okay, no. July 25th. Okay, yeah, we're doing well. We're right on track here. So yeah, I think that's fairly close to around the time that this would be coming up. So I have another kind of document with everybody listed in line. And here's what we just did. I don't think anybody who has tuned in or on here, but we just did Bushman. Then we got Fink, Bloom, Taylor, Floor, Foster. Those are the next one in line. All right, what can we do with this now? Probably getting ready to end here. Don't look like too much a fool of myself here, but that's very poor quality camera. Sorry, guys. We'll get that figured out. Because we do have this one, which is HD. Okay. And I suppose in order to live stream, I just have to wire this to the computer and then select this for the input. And I also have a microphone too, but yeah, I got a ton of clocks to get through, so I've been slacking on the YouTube production, but I'd like to get it better. It'd be kind of cool, kind of fun. All right, guys, I guess I can show you a couple more projects, answer a few more questions if you happen to have anything. Otherwise, we're just gonna let this one run here for a few hours like that, get the case cleaned up and whatnot, and then we'll put the hands and dial on it. But I won't make you stay for that. What else can I show you here? This one's neat. Check out this one. Can't even you see right through it. 8-day, you know, and it has the sun and moon Kind of day and night, you know, theme. Cool one. Boaz and Yakin. Oh yeah. And in order to keep pressing along here, this is where I will turn to next. And we got two of them, and they're both going to be 24 karat gold bath plate. They're currently caked up with rouge at the moment, which is fine. I like to leave them that way. While they're going to sit, we leave them with rouge covering them because the exposed brass is highly reactive. And, you know, within 12 hours, you will start to see orange spots popping up. And that's just the brass reacting with moisture and oxygen and whatnot, salt. So I leave them caked up with my rouge on here. And I got to go to the underside and clean up. And then I will have to polish every particle of that buffing compound off of here. And they have to be perfectly clean before going into the bath plating solution. And you know, that gold plating doesn't, you know, improve any imperfections on the metal itself. It would just cover it with like with a 2 microns, you know, which are much smaller than a millimeter. Either there's like 10 microns in a millimeter or something, I believe. So it's not going to fill any holes or fill any gouges, scratches, whatnot. So all of the labor pretty much goes into preparing the metal for the plate. Thanks, good show. Hey, yeah, thanks for tuning in. I know it was a crap show, but hey, I'm trying. You got to start somewhere. Thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate it. These are dryer box cleaners solution. Really simple, easy. This is cool. This is a this is a defibrillator that would be hanging on a wall. My buddy works at a place where they make them, and I had him tack this metal screen on. And then here is a blower, dryer, heater motor wired in there. And that just, you know, add a little copper elbow there to blow it, to direct it. And that just helps cook off a little bit of the rinse solution, which is alcohol based, and then that gets blown off and then heated off a little bit, just enough to evaporate it. But I think I'm going to cut her here, guys. We'll talk again soon. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, all 5 of you. Talk to you later.